This changes everything for the Winnipeg Jets as head coach Scott Arniel gives a huge injury update on a key piece for the Winnipeg Jets moving forward, which leaves a lot of questions for this team going into start the regular season. We're going to break down this key injury update with another injury that has fans a little worried, but not only that, we're going to go over options that fill in the void perfectly. We're going to break down all this and so much more later on this episode. Before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. If you're part of the 76% watching this and you haven't hit the sub button yet, it's completely free. It helps out a ton. And in return, we'll give you daily updates from all the around the NHL, just like the Winnipeg Jets. But with that, Darius, let's go straight into this today, where we do get an update around the Winnipeg Jets that will have fans a little scared going into Game 1. Winnipeg Jets coach Scott Arniel goes out to say that Dylan Samberg will miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken wrist. Now, Samberg was a huge part of the Winnipeg Jets going into the playoffs last year in the regular season, and a key piece they were looking forward to start this season. We've seen him come fresh off his extension. What is your thoughts on them losing debatably one of their best defensemen for 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah, he is a big piece of this team. So this is devastating news for the Winnipeg Jets to start the season. He was a huge part of their team last year on probably the best contract in the entire league at that point. Obviously, just signed a contract extension this past summer, but he put up really good numbers last year. And the biggest tell to me, and we're going to get into the advanced analytics in a second on what the Jets are going to be like without him to start the season, which it's not looking very encouraging. I'll just say that because he's a great player. He was injured and missed some time due to a leg injury halfway through last season as well. And when he was out, that's when the Jets started to lose games. So that could be a direct correlation. That second pairing there with Samberg is a bit of a glue pairing, right? If you have them together on your team, you're going to look good, right? Him and Pionk together do have some synergy. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of, or who also fills in without him and what they look like without him to start the year, because they were off to such a hot start last year. He got injured. They started losing some games and then they finished strong as well once he came back. So he is a big part of this team, probably a bigger part of this team than people realize outside of Winnipeg. And they're going to dearly miss him because this is a really unfortunately timed injury right before the season starting next week. So we'll see how they fare without him, but we're going to get into what they look like without him, who's going to fill those shoes, and do they actually go out and make a move? I think that's pretty interesting.
And I mean, there's one big thing. Listen, Connor Hellebuyck, which we do have a bit of an injury update on him as well, is a guy that can will a team into the playoffs. We've seen him have more wins than some franchises did last season, but the big thing out, losing on Dylan Samberg doesn't only hurt the fact that you're without Dylan Samberg, but this pairing with Neil Pionk and Samberg was a go-to pairing for them. Listen, they want to get off to a hot start. This is a team that kind of feathered away in the playoffs and didn't go on the run they were expecting or wanting to do, but the big thing is, we do see two guys going out and getting extra ice. I'm trying to get on the ice and impress the coach going into Game 1, but things get a little scary when you're looking at the advanced stats on this. Now, looking at it, Samberg and Pionk, expect goals percentage were by far and away the best. Pretty close on Morrissey and DeMello as well. But the big thing is getting Hayden Fleury with Pionk. You can see number 4, and this is out of all 150 minutes played with pairings. And the thing was 38.5% expected goal. This pairing was not what fans expect. And listen, if you get a start to the season, if you're gelling together, yes, it can work. But Darius, going into the projected lines, would you feel comfortable getting Hayden Fleury in there? We've seen the advanced stats, and we're going to touch on him a bit. Or do you think they should kind of look on the outside, maybe in Logan Stanley? Listen, don't kill me, Jets fans. I understand everyone's not the hugest fan, but what is your thoughts on just Hayden Fleury with advanced stats probably being the pairing?
Well, you have a pretty substantial sample size from last season when Samberg was out that this does not work, that they do not look good. They were getting shelled. The majority of time was spent in their own zone, all of those things. So clearly this pairing doesn't really work. There's no real chemistry there, right? And we saw it last year when Samberg was out, the exact same situation. So maybe you do move away from it. And again, Jets fans, don't kill us. We know most of you do not like Logan Stanley. Maybe it's not Logan Stanley that's the option to move up. This defense core as is pretty good. Hayden Fleury is a good replacement player. He is a guy that can play in the NHL, right? But maybe you need to mix up the pairings a little bit, or maybe go out and find some help some outside help by making a trade, or maybe, there's some free agents still out there, right? And some guys who are on PTOs, maybe you could take a look at. And I think that's something they have to at least consider, because if they go into the season, your first pairing is fine. Your third pairing is fine, right? A lot of people don't like Logan Stanley. Luke Shen was a great pickup, and he's still there. So that's fine. Colin Miller as well, but you probably want him playing on the right side. But maybe you experiment with something a little bit different, because Pionk and Hayden Fleury did not work together last year. So maybe it's something that you go out and you try to experiment with something else, either in-house or go out and make another signing, maybe even a trade at this point. But I think a trade, Samberg's not out long enough to justify a trade at this point, I think, in my eyes, because it's only going to be, a max 2 months or, something like that. So I wouldn't go out and make a trade in that way, but I think you have to consider all your options at this point, because can they play well, going into the season, give it a shot? Yeah, maybe as a pairing, but we've seen last season, they don't play well together.
And I think the big thing is, listen, the Jets team want to start hot. They want to go out. They want to win the President's Trophy. They want to go on a deep run. They want to hoist the Stanley Cup. And if you go on a bit of a slide because your defensive game, and listen, adding Jonathan Taves to the forward group will help with the defensive game as well. But with this team wanting to start hot, there is a lot of things to look at. Now, the big thing is, listen, Dylan Samberg out 6-8 weeks. But we also do get an update on Connor Hellebuyck, who left practice just not feeling right. He doesn't sure if he's going to play in the preseason game. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, Hellebuck's out for an extended period of time. But you don't want one of your top shutdown guys to go out with a broken wrist, and then your starting goaltender, debatably the best in the entire National Hockey League, to say, hey, I'm not feeling right. I'm not practicing. Maybe I won't play in the preseason. So things get interesting. Listen, Darius, this is a team that has a decent amount of cap space. If you get to deadline, 15.2 mil is awesome for a team contending and wanting to push. You have just shy of $4 million to spend right now, and it does get interesting when you're looking through the options as well. Listen, I don't think making a trade, giving up assets to get a player makes sense for the Winnipeg Jets unless it's a long-term fit that you can see being with the organization, someone to replace Stanley, or someone to join this team. But the big thing is there is some options. Matt Grzelcyk, a left-handed defenseman, signed on a PTO right now by Chicago. I'm sure they could be pried to leave Chicago to come straight to Winnipeg. A defenseman that put up 40 points last year. He might not be the best defensively, but do you think maybe adding a puck-moving defenseman like him or a veteran like Suter onto this team would be better fit over the span? And listen, if it works, you get an awesome player to keep around.
It's hard to say if it's going to be a better fit. We know for a fact that Hayden Fleury and Neil Pionk don't really work together, right? So bringing in another player, maybe it would be at least a little bit better, but we don't know for sure until you see them on the ice. But I think with Matt Grzelcyk, like you brought up, he had a career year last year, put up 40 points on a bad Pittsburgh Penguins team. He's another offensively minded guy. And, if you put him with Neil Pionk, that could be a very exciting pairing, but it could also be, detrimental to goals against. So you never really know with that. So you bring up another interesting point in Suter as well. Suter came out and said he doesn't necessarily want to play anywhere else other than St. Louis. Didn't end up returning there. That was a whole thing during the summer about that. So I'm not so sure he'd be open to, going to Winnipeg or anything like that, but still something you have to consider. So I think Grzelcyk could be an option, right? At this point, again, he's on a PTO with Chicago. So definitely an option, adds more depth to your lineup as well, because they do have some salary cap space. He was looking for something, I think, in the $3 to $4 million range, which is something that I think that the Jets can afford anyway. So that I think is pretty interesting. If you want to add at the deadline, they probably can too. You're going to accumulate more cap space as well. So I think it's an interesting option, but you don't really know until they're on the ice. And you do have, pretty good NHL caliber defensemen still around that you can use in Samberg's absence. We just know from the advanced analytics last year when they played with each other, didn't go so well. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think in terms of Hellebuyck too, last thing too, just to touch on that, a lot of people are speculating not feeling right could be an injury, could also be an illness, right? So it doesn't seem like the organization is panicking too much. So we're not going to panic either in terms of that update. We'll see if he ends up playing, but didn't seem like anything too serious, but he did miss, he did leave practice.
And I mean, the big thing is, listen, we're going to see a competitive camp, especially with a big minute opening up there with Samberg on. But Jets fans, who do you think would be the perfect guy to fill in? Is it Hayden Fleury? Is it Logan Stanley? Once again, don't kill us. What is your thoughts on this? Let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care.